Hello and welcome to, I hit the wrong button, hello, Jose Mourinho press conference reaction on the United stand. Lots to discuss as per usual. Also be doing how I think United should line up. You can get involved in that and a little bit of a background for this game tomorrow night against Champions League group, whatever, Young Boys, Switzerland. Our group's got Valencia and Juventus in it. But let's start off with Jose Mourinho's press conferences. Some very interesting points in there. I think he missed an absolute cracker really because he was asked the sort of question, the surface tomorrow is AstroTurf, and he was asked that question, what do you prefer, grass or AstroTurf? The old classic only fools and horses line, don't know, never smoked AstroTurf, would have been brilliant. But yes, it is an AstroTurf pitch, so there'll be no Antonio Valencia because of his knee. Didn't want to risk him, hasn't brought him. The same old problems of the last 2 years with Valencia, really. He just is unable to play 2 games a week. So he mentioned options, Dalot or Darmian. Don't be surprised if we see Darmian, because when given the choice between youth and experience, Mourinho goes with experience. But I hope to see Dalot in that game, and we should see Luke Shaw. Maybe we'll see Ashley Young at right back, I don't know. But he dropped a couple of corkers in there, really. He dropped Atletico Madrid in there from last season. Asked a question about last season, Sevilla, heritage, and how the players need to respond this year. He sort of dismissed that and said, well, what does last season got to do with this season? It's irrelevant. But he did mention the group, how hard it is, and big teams sometimes don't make it through the group. Now, whether that's a little bit of a warning from Mourinho, and he certainly used the best warning, which is Atletico Madrid, who didn't make it through the group stage last year, but then went on to win the Europa League. Maybe that's an early seed that Jose Mourinho is planting to say, look, maybe we're not going to get out of the group, and if we don't, it's not the end of the world. We might go and win the Europa League. So a bit clever there from Mourinho. Personally, I think we've got to get out of the group. I don't think it's an excuse not to get out of that group, and I think we will get out of the group, but maybe being a little bit clever there. Alexis Sanchez needs to be dropped tomorrow. I don't know where everybody stands on this, but Alexis Sanchez needs to be dropped. So let's be fair, let's be honest, let's be Manchester United, and let's not be favouritism FC, because it needs to stop. Alexis Sanchez needs to be dropped tomorrow. And whether you're an Alexis Sanchez fanboy or you're an Alexis Sanchez realist, you need to accept that he needs to be dropped. If there is going to be any consistency in this management at Manchester United, he needs to be dropped. People like Martial, people like Rashford. In fact, let's not even bring Martial in, because people always go down the Martial FC, Sanchez fanboy. Let's use Marcus Rashford as the prime example. Marcus Rashford scores 2 brilliant goals against Liverpool in March and wins us the game. The next game he has a bad half and doesn't play for 3 games after that. Where's the consistency there that Rashford can pull a worldie out? A performance that Sanchez hasn't even pulled out. And yet he has a half a bad game after that, and we don't see him for 3 or 4 games. Sanchez, consistently poor, plays every week. It's not right. Why is that right? How can that be right? That Marcus Rashford puts in a performance like that and then has half a bad game and we don't see him again. But Alexis Sanchez keeps putting bad performances in and we see him every week. He needs to be dropped. And now I agree. I read an article today. I think it was Dale who put it out from Stretty News, saying that Sanchez just needs patience and he will be world class. I agree. I think Sanchez will be world class, but he needs a kick up the backside. He needs a wake up call. He needs coffee injecting into his veins, because this can't continue. He needs dropping. He must be dropped tomorrow. Now, whether he will be or not, I don't know. I suspect he will be, because Jose Mourinho mentioned, he was asked the question, will Rashford feature tomorrow? Let's not forget, Rashford's still suspended for 2 more games. This is the first game time Rashford can get for the next 2 weeks, so he must play. But Mourinho came out with the line, maybe be happy about the players that get picked instead of critiquing the players that don't get picked. Now, what that means, I don't know. I think his front 3 will entail Juan Mata tomorrow. I think it might be Lukaku, Rashford and Mata. But it cannot be Alexis Sanchez. He needs to be dropped. And I'll argue that with anybody, whether you love him or not. I think Sanchez will be a very good signing for us. But this is just, it's repetitive nonsense and it needs to stop. And hopefully we will see Marcus Rashford starting, because I just think it does need to change. There is going to be a That's Football tonight, Jordan Freeman, which is sort of perfect because we normally do an 8 o'clock show on the United stand, but Jose's Mourinho's press conference means we're doing a 5 o'clock show. That's Football tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm doing PSG versus Liverpool watch along. If you want to join me for that, it's on That's Football. So there's the plug for that. But Sanchez isn't playing poor, but I agree Martial and Rashford need more minutes, says Robberman. Look, he's nowhere near. He's meant to be world class, Robberman. That's the thing. I think people with Alexis Sanchez need to get on the right page here. Just, maybe he wasn't terrible at the weekend, but he's nowhere near where he should be, and we shouldn't accept okay for a player who is meant to be our star player. So he's got to do a lot more for me. Jose Mourinho also asked about how the team are playing at the moment. This was probably the gold nugget of the whole interview for me, because this was the sort of wake-up call about what Jose Mourinho thinks about Manchester United at the moment. Now, some people want to think that it's a stopgap what we're doing. Playing Fellaini as a centre-back is a stopgap. Playing quite defensive and on the break is a stopgap. And some of the better players like Fred, Martial, Bailly will find their way into the team. I don't think if you heard Jose Mourinho this afternoon, you'll think that anymore. Because what he actually said is, we're improving, we found a balance in the team, we're creating a lot of chances, and the competitive element within the team is right. That, to me, reads that we're improving, we found a balance, we're creating chances, and the competitive element is right. That reads to me that he's found the team that he wants, he's found the structure that he wants, and that team will get better with more games. But I think it's here to stay. I think the centre-back situation doesn't involve Bailly long-term, the midfield doesn't involve Fred long-term, and the front three doesn't involve Rashford and Martial long-term. I think, as I said on Saturday, his front three is Lingard, Sanchez and Lukaku. I think his midfield three is Fellaini, Matic and Pogba. And that's what we've got. And it has won the last 2 games. But as I said, I don't think against Watford we did create that many chances. I think we only created 9. I think the previous 2 games we created 2. So it's interesting to see how we're going to line up tomorrow. I think we'll go with a 4-3-3, but I'm more got an eye on that Watford game, and I'm thinking, oh, is this what we're going to do against Watford then? Because it's interesting, isn't it? If it keeps winning us games, it keeps winning us games. But an admission there from Jose Mourinho that this isn't a stopgap, this is the way he plans to go, and these are the personnel that he likes. That competitive element is right, and I think that what that competitive element means is that those players are giving him what he wants in that 90 minutes, whereas some of them obviously aren't. You know, it's the old attitude, it's the old effort level myth again, isn't it? But, you know, Mourinho knows what players... I think what it is, I think these players give Mourinho what he wants without an issue, whereas the other players maybe don't suit the way Mourinho wants to play. As I said, we're not really a flair team, and we're never going to be a flair team under Jose Mourinho. We are... look at the goals against Watford. They were very good goals, but they came from sort of set pieces, and we were very hard to score against. That's maybe what the road that Mourinho goes down. Admittedly, I understand it, because we lost 2 games in our first 3 and we're playing catch up, and he needs to get points. Now is not the time for Jose Mourinho to start playing attacking flair football that he's never done in his whole career. He needs to get this season back on track. What's he going to do? Do something he's done for the last 20 years, which is keep it tight and grind out results, or suddenly play free-flowing football that the fans like when he needs points? Of course he's going to go back to what he wants, which is why I think we'll see Darmian tomorrow night and not Dalot at right back. He also mentioned the group itself, and spoke about the plastic pitch, which I spoke about before. And obviously, let's look. This is how. Let me just do how I think we're going to line up, because I think at this point this is quite relevant. So, obviously, I think De Gea in goal. Now, this is how I would go with Dalot, Lindelof, Bailly, and Luke Shaw. I think we should go with the back 4. We're against a team that is inferior to us. Yes, we're playing away. And let me just say here, it is absolutely essential Manchester United win this game. Now, some people will think, well, young boys, home and away, 6 points. They're not the glamour-tie. Valencia and the Juventus games are the glamour-ties. Of course they are. But the reason this game is very, very important is if we don't win this game and then Valencia and Juventus do, it gives them a kick on. It gives them an advantage over us no matter what we do against them. Obviously, the group's going to be decided by what we do against Valencia and Juventus, home and away. But if we don't beat young boys away, then that puts us in a very difficult situation, because Juventus and Valencia do it, and we've lost 2 points already. So we do need to win this game tomorrow. Now, I think the midfield 3 obviously is going to involve not Herrera, Pogba, Fred, and I think Fellaini won't play because Matic is suspended at the weekend. So I think he'll put Matic in that role and use Fred and Pogba. Now, let's not forget Fred's pedigree, Fred's quality and experience is well established in the Champions League. Last season for Shakhtar Donetsk, he was brilliant, so European football isn't a problem for him, and I think this is an area, much like when Pogba first came to the club, where Mourinho can chuck Fred in and not have to worry too much about the fast pace of the Premier League. So I expect that will be our midfield 3, and I would like it to be that. Gunnit Williams says, I foresee a boring 1-0 win against Young Boys. You maybe will get that, but that's, it's still 3 points at the end of the day. Now, the front 3 for me, should be, now whether he does it or not, should be Lukaku, Rashford and Martial. Rashford should play because he can't play at the moment because of his suspension. So Champions League football is where we can give him game time. Martial should play because Sanchez should be dropped. And Lukaku, at the end of the day, we need to win this game. We can't mess around with who's up front. We need goals, and Lukaku will bring us that. So that's how I would that's how I would pick it. Now, I think Jose Mourinho may make a change here and bring Darmian in. And I think he'll make a change here and here. I think Rashford will move across to this position. And I think Mata will come into there. That's not how you write Mata, but I think that's what happened. The rest of it, I suspect, will be the same. Bailly surely plays in this game. Goal difference could be massive, says Al Matkin. I agree with you on that one. And a win is a win, says Michael Jones. I think in the context of the group, it is all about getting a win in this game. No doubt about that. Pereira needs game time and deserves game time, says Paul Robinson. I don't dispute that, but I don't expect to see Pereira involved at all. Lukaku needs a rest, says Alec M. Can we afford to rest Lukaku in a game that we need to win? Maybe he will play Rashford straight through the middle. I'd like to see that. That would probably mean that Mata would play and Sanchez starts as well. I think it's important in the context of the Wolves game that we get some fresh legs for the Wolves game, which is why Fellaini shouldn't play. Because Fellaini obviously will play against Wolves. Matic can't play against Wolves, so I would rest Fellaini, who's had a back problem for the last couple of weeks. Lingard again as well, keep him out, keep his legs fresh, and obviously we've got Valencia out as well. So that's how I would line up. Anthony Martial says Mata won't start, he's hardly featured. Martial has played more minutes. Yes, Martial ahead of Mata, I hope so. The pair of Lindelof and Bailly is a bad one, says Abu Bakar Sadiq. I think Lindelof's pairing with anybody is a bad one. I think Lindelof in a pairing with Smalling is a bad one. Let's not pretend that Smalling and Lindelof... Look, this irritates me a little bit. Let's not forget or pretend that Lindelof and Smalling, like Gary Neville said, are our first choice centre-backs and they deserve it. They don't deserve it. They've not been tested. In the last 2 games, they've had a centre-back with them in Marouane Fellaini, protecting them. Lindelof and Bailly played against Leicester and Brighton as a centre-back pairing on their own with no protection. Matic played, but he played in the CDM role that he's played in the last 2 games. Fellaini has dropped into the centre-back position with Smalling and Lindelof in the last 2 games. He's been a protection buffer. So this nonsense that Smalling and Lindelof should be our back 2, they've not even been tested. They've not played as a back 2. Bailly and Lindelof have played a back 2 and they got exposed against Brighton. But this nonsense that Bailly doesn't deserve to start and it should be Smalling and Lindelof, who've never played a game together in a back 2, ever, I can't think of. I know we played a back 3 back in November. It is a nonsense, and I don't think we need to play 3 centre-backs against young boys. We don't need that. So I would go Lindelof and Bailly. That's why I do it. Martial, Lukaku and Pogba are close. I mean, Al Matkin's made a good point there. Lindelof gets well covered with the way Sweden played anyway, very, very defensively. What I like about Mark, the guy is a realistic fellow, says Deal. That's a nice comment. Bailly should always be ahead of Lindelof, says Sean Burnett. I actually think that Bailly and Smalling make a good centre-back pairing. I do. Jose's brainwashing our fans, says Moada. Fellaini is a beast of a defender, says Friend 2018. Well, that's effectively what he's been for the last couple of games. He has been a centre-back. Will Ronaldo score against Valencia, says Louis Garcia? I don't know, because I'll be watching the United game. And the lineup is not bad. Lindelof is so-so, Kyle Walcott. What I've always said about Lindelof is he needs to play week in, week out. And that's what he's doing at the moment. Kaz Dakaris Monero, what a name, says this whole every day, every show banging on about Sanchez is so boring. He's obviously going to keep playing, so it's time to get over it and find something else to talk about. United for life. No, that's not how it works. We're not Sky. We're not MUTV. We're not going to just forget about an issue. That's not what the United stand's all about. That's not what fan opinion's all about. You don't go, there's a problem, let's stop talking about it because Mourinho won't listen. Of course he's not going to listen, but it doesn't mean you don't keep talking about it. When Sanchez starts putting in decent performances and we get good results because of it, we'll stop talking about it. He don't deserve to play at the moment. I'm sorry. I hate this inconsistency. I really do. And I'll keep using that Rashford example because the Martial one, people just get into their Martial agenda. But the Rashford example is spot on. Rashford played brilliant against Liverpool, won us the game, half a bad game in the next one, we don't see him for 5 games. Sanchez plays consistently poor week in, week out, and every single game he starts. How is that fair? How is it right? How does it create a fair, competitive training atmosphere when you know he's just going to pick his favourites every week? I mean, you could argue it's the same for Fred. I wish we were in Man City's group, but it's impossible, Jimmy J. You can't be in the same group. And the board are in talks with Maradona. I doubt it, Leslie. Alexei deserves to be benched. He also said, we're creating lots of chances. We're changing the way we attack opponents. We've also found a way of protecting ourselves in some specific defensive situations. That's from Manan Chanana, which sort of fits in with what I'd said. Mourinho asked about how we're doing at the moment. We're improving, we found a balance, we're creating chances, and we've got a competitive element in the team. And Manan's right, there's a little bit more meat to the bones there, where he said we're creating a lot of chances, yes. We're changing the way we attack opponents. We've also found a way of protecting ourselves. I mean, in a nutshell, Mourinho is very happy with the way we're playing at the moment. And whether you're happy or not, he is very happy about it. I think we're going to see it keep happening. We're hard to score against, which means we're hard to beat, but we're scoring chances as well. So he's happy with that. Yeah, it's not the United way. Yeah, it's not the way we want to play. But is Mourinho ever going to deliver that? At the end of the day, we've got what we've got. We are where we are. Let's hope we can keep winning games. And this season, obviously, is probably going to be a bit like last season in relation to, I think it's, I don't think we're going to end up playing good football under Mourinho. I'd love to be proven wrong, but at the end of the day, we need to win games at the moment. We've got to win. We've got to win every single game up into the international break, and then we'll establish ourselves back in the top four, which is the main thing we need to do at the moment. Anyway, Ransom Flex did their show, so you can go and give that a watch if you want at 1 o'clock. We've got a watch along tomorrow night for the United Stand. We've got a really interesting video going up tomorrow lunchtime. There's no 8 o'clock show tomorrow night because I've done this one, but I am live at 8 o'clock on That's Football with a PSG versus Liverpool watch along. Look, I don't want Liverpool to win, I want PSG to win, but there's a very interesting dynamic in that watch along. Mbappe, Cavani and Neymar against Salah, Mane, Firmino. I think it's going to be a really good game. Looking forward to watching it. Join me on That's Football. I'll be live just around about 7:30 for that. Please do smash a like on the video if you like the Jose Mourinho press conference reactions. It's been nice to combine it with a preview as well, because at the end of the day, it's Young Boys versus Manchester United preview. It's not cutting edge, is it? So it's nice that we can combine it with the press conference. If you like us doing that for the perceived lesser games, drop a like on the video and we'll combine your time onto a preview and Mourinho's reaction, which I think works really well. Please do drop a like on the video, everybody. It really means a lot to us. And thanks everyone for watching live. And if you're not watching live, please do get your comments in below on what you think. Are you happy, like Mourinho, with the way we're playing at the moment? Because that's what he's basically said. He's really happy with what we're doing at the moment. We found a way to win and play football. Is it the style that you want to see? Get in the comments below and give us your comments on everything else. Should Sanchez be dropped as well? That's the big one. And live viewers, you can leave a comment underneath the video anyway now and it will stay there. Not on the live comments bit, but if you actually go under the video, you can leave a comment there as well. So thanks everyone. Have a good evening. Hopefully you'll join me for That's Football as well. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow on this channel. Speak to you soon.